Last Friday, I defended Rush Limbaugh on this program. Media Matters slimes any conservative. It has been looking for some conservatives to slime since the General Petraeus ad got Move On in a lot of trouble. And they thought it found it in a bit from Rush Limbaugh's show last week, who was talking about Jesse Macbeth, the guy who had claimed to have been in Iraq and claimed to witness atrocities. Turned out he was a soldier for 6 weeks, had never been to Iraq, had never seen these things, was lying through his teeth, was forced to confess it to the military and to the authorities. Did he get a little jail time out of that, Angry Rick?
I believe he did.
Yeah, I think he did. Media Matters conveniently left aside the Jesse Macbeth business, and I proved on Friday how they took a remark about phony soldiers uttered by Rush, ignored he was talking about one of them. There hasn't been just one. I mean, there's been Jesse Macbeth. There's been 2 or 3 others that have been prominent phony soldiers. They weren't soldiers. They didn't serve, or they weren't very long. They didn't serve. They didn't know what they were talking about. They were making stuff up. Jesse Macbeth is one of the worst cases. Now, Media Matters is attacking me today, saying we used edited tape to prove my case on Friday. And as it turns out, because we used the Limbaugh tape off his website, that he had edited out from the utterance of the word phony soldiers till he then got back on track and talked about Jesse Macbeth. He had edited out a minute 35 of a caller who went off topic and started talking about WMD. I know how this goes. Callers call. Rush is nicer to people than I am. I'll kind of blow him up, say you're off topic, and I'm get back. He listened to him for a second, then went right back. So what Media Matters is saying, that I used a edited tape, is true, but it does not change the facts. When Rush uttered the word phony soldier, he was talking about Jesse Macbeth. That has nonetheless caused this huge hue and cry condemning Rush Limbaugh from the left. Here's Tom Harkin.
7 soldiers published an op-ed in the New York Times criticizing the current strategy in Iraq. Tragically, 2 of those soldiers were subsequently killed in action, making the ultimate sacrifice for their country. I only can assume by Mr. Limbaugh's definition that they too were phony soldiers.
No. You only assume that because you've been reading Media Matters. Why don't you dig in and find out what happened, Senator? So I now have a question for Media Matters, for Harry Reid, for Senator Tom Harkin. This phony soldier, phony hero thing that you find so objectionable, why didn't you raise it when the highly respected Charlie Gibson of ABC News used the exact same language, phony heroes, a night or 2 before Limbaugh ever brought it up? And by the way, Charlie and Brian Ross did a report that got right to the point, which was Jesse Macbeth, the exact guy Limbaugh was talking about. And this was two days earlier than Limbaugh saying phony soldiers. This was on ABC. My question, do Harkin and Reid want to condemn ABC too?
The Marine chaplain, Captain Reggie Buttle, was not a chaplain.
I think he went to seminary school and flunked out.
Nor was Buttle a captain, nor had he earned all the medals he wore. In fact, Buttle had never been in the Marines.
Okay, we got Jesse Macbeth. Now we got Captain Reggie Buttle.
Most of the phonies were spotted by people who really earned their medals. In St. Louis, this supposed Marine with a chest full of honors was turned in because he seemed too fat to be a real Marine. It turns out he never served a day in the Marine.
Okay, we got Jesse Macbeth, Captain Reggie Buttle, Fatso Marine, all phony soldiers, as authenticated by ABC News. ABC News now. We're not talking about, some radio talk show deal. This is Brian Ross, whose investigations are spot on.
But authorities say the most disturbing case involves this man, 23-year-old Jesse Macbeth.
Woo! Oops! That name pops up.
So he's in the news cycle on ABC right before Rush says these things.
Maybe this explains why Media Matters insisted on cutting the Jesse Macbeth part out of the transcription they published to condemn Rush. Maybe they knew Jesse Macbeth is a phony. ABC had identified him as a phony. Rush Limbaugh identified him as a phony a few days later. I mean, this is all well after the fact. He'd been caught weeks or months before. But ABC, well, shall we say, nailed it down.
Macbeth became a rallying point for anti-war groups as he talked of the Purple Heart he received in Iraq and described how he and other U.S. Army Rangers killed innocent civilians at a Baghdad mosque. It was a complete fabrication.
That's what Rush Limbaugh was talking about when he talked about phony soldiers. Senator Reid.
I ask my colleagues, Democrats and Republicans alike, to join together against this irresponsible, hateful, and unpatriotic attack by calling Rush Limbaugh to give our troops the apology they deserve.
Well, maybe ABC should apologize too, shouldn't they? Angry Rich.
No.
Evidently, Captain Reggie Buttle needs to get an apology. Marine Fatso needs an apology. Jesse Macbeth needs an apology as far as Tom Harkin and Harry Reid are concerned.
Is that Rush Limbaugh says these provocative things to make more money. I don't know. Maybe he was just high on his drugs again.
Whoa.
I don't know whether he was or not.
Whoa!
If so, he ought to let us know.
Whoa!
But that shouldn't be an excuse.
Maybe Senator Harkin has been taking his meds too to draw these things together like that. Rush Limbaugh was making a perfectly decent point. Now, not every soldier who has objected to Iraq is a phony soldier. He didn't say that. I'm not saying it. Obviously, there are some soldiers who don't like the way things have gone in Iraq for various reasons. But he was speaking specifically of one lying crook named Jesse Macbeth. This Soros-funded at the beginning operation, Media Matters, is out to take some of the heat off MoveOn.org for their scandalous attack on General Petraeus. And they're doing it by attacking Rush. Is Rush Limbaugh being railroaded by Democratic politicians reading off the left-wing hymnals online?
It's Gibby on the go. Now you can have Gibson on your iPod, on your computer, anywhere and anytime you want it. Subscribe now at GibsonRadio.com and click on Podcasts.